Hey you guys, I'm here to bring you, my Vikings season 4, episode 3 entitled Mercy, review. So yeah, there's a lot of things that happened in this episode. This was a really, action, I won't say action packed, but really important and vital episode. And we have a certain return of an old favorite character, that showed up. So yeah. So this is part 1 of my review, and this is in part because of that, the importance of that old character, you know, that showed up in this episode. So I'm gonna leave part 2 for to let him shine, whatever. So part 1 we're gonna talk about Bjorn and Rolo and Lagatha and Calf and Erlander's story. So yeah, so pretty much episode 3 begins with, I believe, it begins with Floki pretty much. He's in pain. You have, I believe you have Helga holding, you know, have a cup, so to sort of lessen the pain of the thing constantly dropping and dropping on his head, so on and so forth. And it's ironic, while Floki's screaming though, and Lagatha's in pleasure. She's riding Calf like a bull. After they have sex, Calf is all like, "I love you and desire you. I've always loved you and desired you, even more than power. And as you are like still young enough, I'd like for you to bear a child, you know, that we made together, and that would truly make me happy. So after that, he leaves. I got to take a piss, and he's talking to Erlander. Erlander's like, Bjorn has left Kattegat. Now's the best time to kill him. You know, and then he asks him, "Are you still in line with me? Because I thought our plan was to destroy the Lothbrok family." You know, and Erland, no, Cal thinks sometimes like, "Yeah, I agree. It's a good plan." So he has someone to do the task for him, the Berserker. You know, he found a Berserker. So yeah, so pretty much you have this scene in which they meet the Berserker, and this dude's like a fucking beast. I would say if he was like an animal equivalent to him, would literally be a bear. This dude's scary as shit. His eyes, motherfucker, look like he hasn't brushed his teeth in a while. They have Erlander giving the dude his ring, saying that this is the ring King Horik. It'll help you pass through every land, whatever, and pretty much get the job done, motherfucker. Get it done. To the point where the guy was like, "All right, yeah, my personal space, little boy, the little man." He has an axe, and he uses the axe to kind of just give him a little bit of distance. Cal said pretty much after that, we're gonna reward you with gold and silver if you succeed. So the dude's on his way. And yeah, I'm sorry for like the last review. I think I mentioned that for episode 2. My bad. It actually belonged in this episode. So yeah, in Paris we have Rolo pretty much at dinner. The royal court gives up those, like, I believe, wine on the motherfucker and says, "I want to divorce you." Rolo's embarrassed. So Rolo speaks, with Count Odo, and he says, pretty much that I want to learn, this new language. I want to learn, Frankish. So yeah. So that's pretty much, yeah, sorry. Yet another distraction today. I know, right? But yeah. Pretty much wants to learn Frankish because, that's his way of getting into Queen Gisla's, heart in her bed. So yeah. So yeah, you have this. I believe like you have in this moment, Rolo's trying to learn how to speak, French, you know, Frankish, whatever. He's doing a pretty good job. Just he always falls a little bit short on the last part, the last, pronunciation, whatever. So yeah, at one point, his teacher's all like, he pretty much says to him, just say this, "I was once a savage, now I'm a," talking shit, and Rolo threw the motherfucker across the fucking room. The dude's out, you know. But yeah, and before that, Rolo was like saying, just mocking him, and then he just like scribbles up the paper and just throws him in the face before he throws him, to the ground. So yeah. So what else happens in this episode of Newt? You know what? Now I'm gonna say that for part 2. But yeah, that's pretty much. No, no, no. Oh, I forgot. I'm sorry. Bjorn's journey. So pretty much throughout the journey, you have Bjorn. He's trying to find that fucking bear, and the bear had Bjorn in three, like I believe, 3 separate occasions. In 2 of those occasions, Bjorn was unarmed, Well, no, he had two separate cages. One, Bjorn didn't have his axe. Two is when Bjorn pretty much was fucked up after he found some alcohol near his cabin. And the motherfucker, when he was fucked up, he was fucked up. And he was drunk. He was, he was really howling like a wolf, And you have this beautiful scene, in which he's looking at the lights, And in this episode, you have a lot of connections to season one. Because I believe in season one, episode one, with him and Ragnar, when Bjorn was a boy, when they were heading to the thing, whatever, that's when him and Ragnar was talking about the story of how he got of how Ragnar married, how he won his, like this hand in marriage by strangling the dog and killing the bear, with his spear slash axe, whatever. So yeah, it was like a connection, because the lights was in the sky at that time, just like it was in this episode. And I think Bjorn was sort of reflecting on that. So Bjorn wakes up, and like I mentioned before, this is the second time in which the bear sort of had Bjorn, but he didn't do anything. When Bjorn was puking, he was drunk as shit. But, the third time was a charm. Bjorn was ready, had his axe, and shit was about to go down. Bjorn had his knife, he's like, let's go. And when Bjorn rushed him, the bear just threw him down, clawed the fuck out of his left shoulder. The bear tried to eat him and shit. Bjorn stabbed him on the roof, like, ah, And then the bear got off the motherfucker, he's like, oh shit. And then the two looked at each other. Dude tried to get Bjorn. Bjorn got that axe, bow, shot across the shoulder. And then, just got one good axe shot straight down the skull. And it was over. See the blood spiral over his face. You hear him like, yeah, And while this is happening, Ragnar's telling the story, to his other kids, to Ubi, Ivar, Vitserk, and Sigurd about Harbid and Thor. And that was pretty much just a reminder, to Aslog of her infidelity towards him, and almost letting Ubi and Vitserk die, But if it wasn't for Siggy saving them and her dying, in her place, because she had to be responsible because she was her mother. If she wasn't trying to bang Harbor, this would never happen. So yeah. So apparently Ragnar feels Bjorn succeeding, and you have this really great scene in which you see Ragnar see Bjorn as a young boy, or whatever, and so the next scene sort of transitions to like him seeing him and Edu, who clearly have some type of interest in one another, and she's like, the fish. He's like, oh, and he gives her the fish. So yeah, so to end this, part one of my review for this episode, Bjorn pretty much, since he got the wound, whatever, disaffected, motherfucker sets the thing, like the sword, whatever, the knife, on fire to cauterize it. And he yells, obviously, fire against skin. And then I believe he goes into the pond, whatever, and he just goes deep into the water. Then he just emerges like a badass and just like yells, in victory. So yeah, so that's pretty much my review for part one of my review of Vikings season 4, episode 3, entitled Mercy. So yeah, y'all gonna love part 2. Adios.